Say Shir Malach.
Shir Malach, Smakim Krasich Adonai. Adonai Shema B'Kali Te'iyenu Es Nachal Kashuva Es L'Kol Tachnanai. Im Avonos Tishmayu Adonai Mi Amod. Ki Yimcha Aslicha L'man Tivarei. Kivisi Adonai Kivisa Nafshi V'Lidroi Echolti. Nafshi Adonai Mishamim Laboker Shamim Laboker. Yechel Yisrael Ol Adonai Ki Yim Adonai Chesed V'Ravei Moifidos. V'Hu Yiftes Yisrael Mikol Avanesav. As we're up to the Mishnah on Tzadik Zayin Amid Beis. The Mishnah on Tzadik Zayin Amid Beis. Hayekora Basefa Ala Skupa. A person is reading a Sefer. He's reading one of the Sifrei. All these Sfarim fellas were scrolls like this. So he's reading. This is a skupa. A skupa is type of like a ledge going into a house. So it's 10 tefachim high, pashtus. And we'll see whether it's a Rosh Hashanah or a Carmelis. It goes over here. He's able to go ahead and roll it towards him. And we're not scared that maybe he'll drop it and come to carry from Rosh Hashanah into Rosh Hashanah. So we don't make a gezerah that you may come to carry from here to here. It was reading on the head of a roof. He was on a rooftop and was reading. Right? In the Skalva Sefer Miyadai Aleph, and the Sefer goes ahead and rolls out. Actually, before it goes ahead and reaches 10 tefachim, Goyle Etzloi. Again, before anything above 10 tefachim is not a Rosh Hashanah, so they were not geyser. It's not in a Rosh Hashanah. We're not worried. You can go ahead and bring it towards you. Mishigia Asar tefachim. If it does reach Asar tefachim, that's scenario number base. Then you're not able to bring it back to you because we're worried if it drops here, you may come to carry it. So therefore, it's in Rishus Harabim. You turn it around and you leave it there. Even if it's a little bit above the ground, number Gimel, it's a little bit above the ground, you would be able to go to Etzloi. Rav Shimon says, I feel baratz atzma, even if it's on the ground, go to Etzloi. Kisvei Kodesh. Shvus is a din d'Rabbanan. Again, the whole reason over here is a gezerah. Maybe you'll drop it and carry. So when it comes to the bezoyin of the Kisvei Kodesh, we won't make such a gezerah. Okay, so those are the different scenarios.
Rabbi, does it matter if it's face up or face down?
The reason why you put it, face up is a bezoyin. That's why this scenario number base, Steve, we turned it around. That's why we turned it around. It should be mevazig the kachim. Now the going wants to know the following: Haya skupa hekidami. This askupa. What are we talking about? How this askupa? The first case, that porch in front of the door. What are we talking about over there? Ilay eskupa rishus hayachid. If it's 10 by 4, and it's rishus hayachid. Vikama rishus harabim, and in front of it vikama, and in front of it is a rishus harabim. V'lo gazrina until manafal v'asala suyei. And we're not geyser if we let you go ahead and roll it. You may come to drop it in the Rishus Harabim proper and bring it to Rishus Hayachid. Money. Then who's the Tana who's not worried? That's Rav Shimon, right? Obviously, guys, that's our Rav Shimon. The same Rav Shimon over here in scenario Dalid. Even when it's in the Rishus Harabim itself, we're not worried he's going to drop it. So obviously, he's the one that he is geyser. That's why this. And Rabbi Yehuda is not geyser only if it's in the airspace, but once in the Rishus Harabim proper, right on the ground, then only Rav Shimon won't be geyser, correct? Rav Shimon is the only one who will let you go ahead and bring it in on the ground. So if that's the case, I don't know what I just did. If that's the case, I'm getting lost over here. If that's the case, so who is the Tana of our Mishnah? Who's the Tana of a Skupa, guys? Right? Pashtus, it's Rav Shimon, right? Rav Shimon Dalet over here would be over here, correct? That would be the same. Money, Rav Shimon he. So this is the first case of the Mishnah, the Skufa is Rav Shimon, right, guys? In other words, he's the only one who won't be geyser. He's the only one who won't be geyser, so that would be Reb Shimon. Anything that is only us the Rabbanon, it does not stand in the presence of Kisvei Kodesh. Amos Seifa, the second case of the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, right? Our second case of the Mishnah, that was this fellow. Second case of the Mishnah was Rav Gimel. So we have Aleph over here is Rav Shimon. Dalit over here is Gimel over here is Rav Yehuda. Good, Rav Yehuda Omer. I feel a Masulik min Aretz Elam Molechut Gailoi. Yes, Gimel, right? That's like Rav Shimon Omer. Scenario number 4. I feel a Beretz Atzma Gailoi. That's like comes out Reisha. The first case of the Askufa is Rav Shimon, and Sefer Rav Shimon, and the last case is Rav Shimon. Mitziyasa, the middle case is Rabbi Yehuda, and we always know the Mishnah should be consistent, right? So you have Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda in Reisha, the Sefer Rabbi Shimon. The case number 1 and case number 3 are Rabbi Shimon, and Mitziyasa in the middle case, the Gimel in our scenario is Rabbi Yehuda. That's the teretz of Rabbi Yehuda, the Amoyer Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi says no. We're dealing here with an askupa that you can walk over. This case over here, the first case of the askufa, it's speaking about an askufa that's possible to go ahead and walk over. You could walk over it. No. Yeah. See, he's walking over it. So Rav Yehuda would be Moida in this case, even when it's on the ground, right? And he was geyser over here only if it's not on the ground. Only if it's not on the ground. Over here, since people are walking here, in this scenario, he's not geyser, right? Here he said leave it, but over here he's not geyser. Over here he would be geyser. Why? Because since people are walking, then it's a bezayin kachim. So it comes out very good. It comes out that the whole thing is according to Rabbi. It would work. Rabbi Yehuda would agree that Skuf is Rabbi Yehuda. This is Rabbi Yehuda. Aleph is Rabbi Yehuda. Beis is Gimel is Rabbi Yehuda. And Dalet is Rabbi Shimon. Good. Question is only if Aleph is Rabbi Shimon. Right? And the answer is no. Aleph is Rabbi Yehuda. Mishim Bezayin Kisvei Kodesh Shar Rabbanon. Because the Bezayin of Kisvei Kodesh, the Rabbanon went ahead and said, if you're in the Skuf and it's within Dalet Amis, you go ahead and you go Letzlai. If it's outside of Dalit, you turn around the Ksaf. So in other words, this on the Skuf is outside 4 Amis, then you turn it over. Within 4 Amis, you don't. Why? If it's V'yamit Baskuf and the dresses Askinon, if it's speaking about people walking, Mali Tech Dalit Amis, Mali Tech Arba Amis, the Chayre Yavet B'Zayin Kachim. Elorma Abaya, we're going to, because of that Kasha, we're going to reject it. And Abaya is going to say it's speaking in another scenario. What's the scenario that it's speaking in? It's speaking in this scenario. It's speaking that you have a long askufa. It's a long askufa, right? And therefore, as soon as it's speaking of skufa as a karmelis. In other words, it's not 10 high. It's 9. It's 4 wide, but it's 9 by 4. It's a karmelis. So, guys, if it's a karmelis, I'm not worried that the person, even if it's outside, that a person will come to bring it inside. Why? Because even if he brings in front of Rishus Rabbim to the Carmelis, he's only going to be over in Issa to Rabbanon. Conversely, if it's outside 4 Amis and he carries it 4 Amis, then that's a Din Daraisa. So the Brisa that says the following: if it's B'toich Dal Amis, you can bring it back, no problem. Since it's B'toich Dal Amis, there's no Daraisa Dikadin. Why? Because since the askupa is a Carmelis, at worst, if it falls off into the askupa, into Rishus Rabbim, you're going to bring it from Rishus Rabbim into a Carmelis. That's the Rabbanon. Conversely, if it rolls outside 4 Amis, then if it falls, you may come to carry it 4 Amis. That's a Din Daraisa. We won't allow it. That's a Din Daraisa, and that's near we won't allow it. Alam Rabbi Hoche Beskufa Carmelis Askinon. Rishus Rabbim Beres Lefaneha. Toich Dalamis. The naful imaisile leosi dechi of chatos shori l'rabonan. Chutz la'arbamis the imaisile If it's in Toich Dalamis, let's be goyis, maybe you go from Rishus Rabim to Sayachid. The Chiche Makivin the Mafsekas Carmelis, Leslan Ba. In other words, we have another problem over here. Over here, guys, right? Over here. Let me give you, I think the other picture might be better. This scenario, right? Let's say the guy's not walking here. This is a Carmelist, let's say. And this is Mitoich Dalit. So you're not worried you're going to go from here to here. Aren't you worried you're going to go from here to here, which is Rishus HaYachid? Even though you have a Carmelist in between. Why aren't we worried you're going to go from Rishus HaRabim into a Rishus HaYachid? Why aren't we worried about that? And if you're going to tell me that what, you're not worried about that, Rabbi says, if someone's going ahead carrying a chayfetz, right? Yeah, that's not it. If you go from a Rishus HaRabim through a Carmelist into a Rishus HaYachid, you be chayev. Remember the old Russian, the chess players there, right? It's one of our favorite pictures. So you're going from Rishus HaYachid through a Carmelist into a Rishus HaRabim, you be chayev. So why aren't you worried, fellas? You're going from a Rishus HaRabim through a Carmelist into a Rishus HaYachid. Why aren't you worried? And for the Gemara, if someone takes a chayfetz from the beginning of 4 to the end of 4, derech halav, and he's carrying it over his head, which is above 10, chayev. So l'chayra, you're going 4 amis, you're chayev. So who are then? You're going 4 amis over here, guys, through an area, a carmelist above your head, into Rishus HaYachid, you're chayev. So why aren't you worried about that? So the Gemara says, Hachamay Askini Beskufa, Rucha, we're speaking about a long Askufa, but the Hachi Midkar, you'll remember it. As you go from here to here, you'll remember not to go, you'll stop over here and not go directly into there. So therefore, we're not worried you can go from Rishus HaRabim to Rishus HaYachid, there are carmelists, because you're going to stop since you have a long time to think about it. Stam, a person's going to stop and look into it. Since he's going to look into it, we're not worried he's going to go directly from Rishus HaRabim into Rishus HaYachid without stopping. He's going to be looking into the Kisrei Kodesh. Stam Kisrei Kodesh, Yuna Miyayinu Manachlahu, maybe he'll stop to look at it over here and then go directly into there. Says Muhammad ben Azai, who's the Tarav Mishnah? It's ben Azai. Damar Mahalech Koy Midami. You might remember this. The Shami says every step you take, it's like you stopped. Every step you take, it's like you stopped. So therefore, you're not worried that you're going from Rishus HaYachid, Rabbi into Rishus HaYachid, because it's like you stop into a Carmelist. Maybe you'll throw it through it, and if you throw it through, you be chayev. If you throw from Rishus HaRabim to Rishus HaYachid, derech Rishus HaKarmelis, be chayev. You can kiss your kodesh. No one's going to throw kiss your kodesh. So it comes out. Our Mishnah is speaking according to one pshat. It's speaking where it's a Carmelist. It's a Carmelist, and they weren't goyza that you can carry from Rishus HaRabim into Rishus HaYachid derech Carmelist. And another pshat is speaking about a skufa rucha to go ahead and avert that problem. But it comes out very interesting enough that in the first scenario, that if it's a bizayin kachim, what you're supposed to do is turn it over. In other words, to leave kachim over here, Steve asked, it's mashma over here. If you leave kachim this way, it's a bizayin. So the question is, how do we ever go ahead and leave a sefer open and walk away? Isn't it a bizayin for the sefer when you leave it open? You know, right, guys? When you go ahead, you get a phone call, your Gemara is open, you leave your Gemara open, right? Or any sefer, or you sit in shul, right? You leave it open. Isn't it a bizayin? Isn't it a bizayin for the sefer? So I'll share with you a shach. that I copied. This is a shach in Reish Ayin Hey, guys. This is the first shach there. V'achuria klaf l'mayla. It's brought down a halacha, and you should leave the klaf l'mayla. Kasav abach. The Yerushalmi, the Megillah yesh l'moed shlo yelech adam l'chutz. The person shouldn't go outside V'yiniach ha-sefer pesuach, and leave a sefer open. Im ein love mappa, unless you cover it with some type of mappa, with some type of towel or some type of covering. The lav dafka sefer Torah. When it says kisvei kodesh, it doesn't mean lav dafka sefer Torah. The hu adin shas svarim akam shono. So the Shach says, based upon Yerushalmi, any sefer you should not leave open with the ksav facing upwards. The hachi muchach nami b'shas dilon be'eruvin. The Mishnah that we just saw, v'shas sham daf tzadich chesam and aleph, which we just learned now, ayin sham. V'yedu l'chachmei emes. This is why I brought it in. V'yedu l'chachmei emes sheyesh malach echad nikra shade. There's a malach that's called shade. Who shomer dafim, guys. Shin is for shomer. Dalit is for dafin. He's shomer dafin. Al misha maniach sefer pesuach v'yoytza shemishkach talmudai. If you leave your sefer open when you leave, you'll forget your learning. It says the back, you'll forget your learning. He's shade. He's the shomer dafin. Shach brings this down. It's not chasidisha. This is litvisha stuff, guys. This is the ultimate litvak. He was the Vilna die in the Shach. He says that there's a shade, there's a malach called shade, shomer dafin. If you leave your sefer open, you'll forget your Torah. Fascinating, huh?
Rabbi, could you put it up again and take a picture of it?
It's on the WhatsApp chat.
Oh, it's on? Okay.
Yeah, Steve beat you to it.
Okay, thanks.
You want it? You want it?
Steve, I put it on the chat.
I'm gonna try to save that just as a separate piece on YouTube.
But you probably forget to do it.
In yeshiva, we used to put a siddur on top of the open Gemaras. That's what we used to do.
I know a guy in yeshiva used to come in, he would open his Gemara, leave it there, and he would leave it open the whole day, and then he would cut out. You may know him also. So.
Okay. Okay, I confess.
No,
He went to yeshiva with Clint Eastwood.
that is correct. Come at the end of the day. I've seen guys, they walked into Seder, they open the Gemara, you didn't see the rest of the Seder, they come to the end of the Seder, they close the Gemara. I'm sure you all saw those guys.
But they didn't have any Torah to forget those guys. They didn't ever learn Torah.
It's okay.
Had to guard his yard.
I thought it was fascinating. Shin Dalit, Shomer Dafim. There's a malach that's mitzvah and Shomer Dafim. If I brought it from a Hasidic sefer, you'd understand. But a shach, anyway. Hayakari Baresh Agag. We said he was reading at the right. He's reading at the head of a gag, and it goes down. Umishari Vatanya Kaisve Svarim Tfilin Mezuzos Le'Tir Lehem Lahafik Yurial Paneha Elapiris Allah Es HaBeged. So why was he able to turn it around? Like we just said, they used to, like we just saw the Gemara, like the Shach said, right? You just cover it up. Says the Gemara, that's Hasam Efsha, Hachalei Efsha. When do you put a map on top of it? When it's possible. When it's not possible, not. Now I have a personal peeve when people, they take their sitter to save the space, they turn it upside down. Right? I don't think that, in other words, they're not doing it that, if they were doing it, that it shouldn't be revealed, right? That's one thing, but I think they're just doing it to keep their place. So it's that's also, I think there must be another malach on top of that that's worse than the shade. Right? That's your to say for totally. You turn it upside down. So hachalei yasha. The loy opich ikib b'zayin kisvi kodesh tfei. So the shachs in Reish Ayin Zayin, guys, sif katan aleph. Reish Ayin Zayin, sif katan aleph in Yeridea. Hoifchal ksav olei noyach. Now it says that you turn it over. Because what are you worried about? That you're going to be in Rishus Harabim and take it from Rishus Harabim, it's going to fall. Says the Gemara, you're not in Rishus Harabim at all. Why should you be geyser? It's an airspace, guys. You're in airspace. You're in Rishus Hayachin in airspace. You're not in Rishus Harabim. You're in the airspace. It says Amarava b'kaisel meshupa. Speaking where the wall is at an angle, and therefore, since the wall's at an angle, the kisvei kodesh are touching the wall. Since the wall's at an angle, the Kisei Kodesh are touching the wall. So since it's touching the wall, it's considered in the Rishus Harabim. I don't know why it keeps on doing this. It keeps on Checking out on me. We don't have the Kaisel Meshupa here. Okay. Anyway, Amle Abaya says Abaya. B'may ukmisa l'masnisa b'Kaisel Meshupa. You say the Mishnah is speaking about a Kaisel Meshupa, and therefore it's touching the Rishus Harabim. Therefore, they geyser. If you fall, you may come to carry it inside. Ema Sefer Rabbi Yehuda Eimer. A few leinim mesulik min haaretz ela malei achut. That's a picture number 3, guys, right? Where it's mamish hanging all the way down. Goy lo yetzlo, you're able to bring it to you. 1 second. But noyachlei. How could you bring it to you? It's in the Rishus Harabim. Certainly the geyser in that case. In other words, bishleima, if it's in the airspace and you're not geyser, I understand. Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda makes sense as long, even if it's not touching the ground, it's in the airspace. Conversely, if you're telling me that what? That it's a kaisel meshupa and it's actually touching the wall, what's the heter of Rabbi Yehuda? You're in an airspace. You're touching. You're in the Rishus Harabim already. Certainly, you'll be geyser that if it falls, you may come to carry it. Says the Mishnah is missing words. Here's the way you read the Mishnah. If it's hanging down, you turn the ksav around. That you turn the ksav around the kaisel meshupa, where it's a kaisel that's inclined and it's touching it, and therefore you geyser, you may come to carry it if it falls. Aval amid beis, aval b'kaisel she'ena meshupa, if the kaisel is not inclined, l'mayla mishleisha, if it's above 3 tefachim and you don't say good, goyle yetzlei. L'mata mishleisha, if it's less than 3, haifa al kasav, and Rabbi Yehuda says afilu, if it's not touching the ground, right? And Rabbi Yehuda aimer afilu leina mesulik min haaretz. So that, therefore, let's look back in the Mishnah. Let's stick it in the Mishnah. Let's go back to the Mishnah on the Amid Beis. Hayakayr b'seif ala skupa niskala seif im yadai goyle yetzlei, and speaking bad a skupa arucha. Hayakayr b'reish agag niskala seif b'yadai, and it's rolling. Actually, giyal asar tefachim goyle yetzlei. It's not anything above 10 tefachim is not a Rishus Harabim. Good. Mishagiyal asar tefachim hayfal ksav. Since the kaisel b'medem amurim that you have to turn it around. If it's a kaisel meshupa, if the kaisel is what is inclined, and if it's not inclined, then you go ahead and you then you go ahead. It depends. If it's within 3, above 3, not within 3, yes. Rabbi Yehuda says even if it's within 3, ein mesulik min haaretz ela kamalei mechet goyle yetzlei. That's where you learn pshat in the Mishnah. Says the Gemara Vaita. Ve'elahadam arava toish leisha l'rabanan sarachanacha. We have a machlokes in Masechta Shabbos whether we say kluta kamisha hon chadami. You're throwing from one Rishus Harabim Yachid to another Rishus Yachid derech Rishus Harabim. It's going now. If it's above 10, do we say it's Yupater, or do we say Kluta if it's Kolat, if it's gathered in the airspace of the Rishus Harabim, do we say it's what, like it's in Rishus Harabim? Says Rabbi Akiva, we say Kluta Kamisha Huncha, and you be Chayiv, and the Chum say you don't say Kluta, and even if it's above, even if it's within 3, you don't say Kluta. So now, you're telling me, according to this, that if it's turned around, that you need, the reason why Rabbi Yehuda says that you're potter, because being an anachal gabi mashahu, ve'lo damarava toich shleish l'rabanan sarach hanacha toich shleish l'rabanan. You need hanacha leima kitanoi. Let's say, in fact, guys, it's a machlokes leima kitanoi mishmaitza. Let's say it's dependent on the machlokes here in the Mishnah, right? Says Rashi, leima kitanoi l'shmaitza. The Tanakama afilu kiloy ifnami gaza. Tanakama is gaza even before before that lamata migimel. So in other words, pashtus, this above 3 should be totally in this machlokes, guys. It should depend upon this machlokes. It should depend upon this machlokes. Loit him, yes. Right? We should say above 3, you would be chayiv, if in the case when you threw it through, and over here he'd say you potter. So it depends upon him or him. So whether they depend upon it like the Tanakama or Rabbi Yehuda, and that Rabbi said is din. Back inside. Elakula Rabbi Yehuda. The whole mission is Rabbi Yehuda v'chsurim echsavach yiktani. When do we say that? What? That you have to turn around because the Meshupa. I will question Meshupa. I feel the pachas mishloishet fachim go lo yetzloi. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. I feel in the Mesilk min Aretz elamali chut go lo yetzloi. My time. The bein in the nachal gami mashu. So even usually you say lavut within 3. Over here, since you didn't have a nach on anything, you don't say it. Therefore, you would be part. Not a machlekes. Okay, next scenario. We have another pictures. To get the money's worth from the sefer. I don't know why it's doing this. Crazy day today. Whole day.
Free. You definitely got your money's worth. It didn't cost anything.
Right?
It was a free download.
Yeah. For you guys, it was good. Okay, here you go. You have a Rishus HaYachid. You have a ziz that comes out over here. You could use it. Right? You could use that. That's the case over here. Let's see it inside. Ziz shelifnei chaloin. A ziz, a projectile, a little shelf that's in front of a chaloin. Nice and alav, you can put on it. The noitlim mimenu b'Shabbos. So the Gemara wants to know what halacha does this have? If this is Rishus HaYachid, in this, what's underneath this? The Rishus HaYachid or Rishus HaRabim? Let's see the Gemara.
Rabbi, this isn't. It would be any different than the one where you getting the water through the hole in the porch.
Yes, there's a cooler. That was a different thing. You're drawing it up. Here we're just using it. You're not drawing anything up, Yehuda.
But you're not. Were you worried about
that was a mechitza tuluya. That was a mechitza tuluya. You were taking from a carmelist. You're taking from a carmelist. So we had a problem. How do you get from a carmelist to a Rishus HaYachid? So we had to create a Rishus HaYachid. So that mechitza that was suspended had a din of Rishus HaYachid, and we said that was a kula shekilu b'chachamim b'mayim. You good, Yehuda? I don't see you. Are you good? I'm.
How do you use this shelf though? From the outside, from the inside?
Inside to the outside. Inside to the outside. You're inside the house,
okay.
Right? You're inside the house, and you knew you had company, and your wife was embarrassed. There was a lot of dishes there, so you dumped something out that people shouldn't see. Okay. Hi ziz demafik lehecha. This shelf. Where's it going out to? Elaim demafik l'shus harabim. If you're telling me it's going out to Rishus HaRabim, lechash, why are we worried? Lechash, dilman nafel. Maybe it's going to fall. The thing that's on there will fall. The asil asuye, and you'll come to carry it from Rishus HaRabim into Rishus HaYachid, right? That makes a lot of sense. Whatever falls off that shelf is going to land in Rishus HaRabim. Why aren't we worried? Then you'll carry in from Rishus HaRabim to Rishus HaYachid. So why are you able to use it? Ella demafik Rishus HaYachid. So it must be that the shelf is going into Rishus HaYachid. So it's pshita. So it's pasha that you can go ahead. What are you worried about? Amar bai loylam demafik Rishus HaRabim. It's going into Rishus HaRabim. U'may nice in the love. What can you put on it? Diktani kalim hanishborim. Kalim that will break. Kalim that are made of earthenware. So that's why in the picture, if you're medayik in the picture, guys, they put up a little coffee cup, little teacup, right? If that falls, it's going to break. And they bring a riot to the next price. The guys, look, these things, Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet, these are different things that they're going to break. Anyway, so Tanya Namihachi, Ziz Shelifnei Achaloin, the shelf that's in front of the window, Hayoytz Rishus HaRabim that goes down to Rishus HaRabim. Nice in a love, you're able to put on it ka'arois, plates, kaisais, cups, kitonois, l'tzluchiois, little flasks, u'mishnamshim b'kol ha'kaisel, and you're able to use the whole shelves arasar ha'tachtoinim up in, as long as it's above 10 tefachim from the ground. If you have a shelf below it, mishtamish boy, you're able to use it, but you can't use the upper one. Only opposite is window. Okay, so it's a very, very funny thing. What exactly is it? So I'll give you the answer before we do the Gemara. Here's the scenario. It's speaking about, I don't know why it keeps on doing that. It's really making me nuts. It's speaking about, you have this one is 10, and this one is not 10. Since this one is not 10, it's a Makom Patur. It's a Makom Patur. The only place it's 10, fellas, is over here. The only place is 10 is over here. You see, it's 4. This is less than 4. Anything that's 10 high and less than 4 is considered a Makom Patur. The only place where you have the width of Rosh Hashanah is opposite the window, because the thickness of the window will give you the width of 4. So Keneged the Chaloin I'm able to use, but over here I'm not able to use it because it's a Makom Patur. However, conversely, this is above 10, it's 4, therefore I can use this because it's Rosh Hashanah. Now you're going to ask yourself, why can't I use it? It's a Makom Patur. And we have a famous picture, right? The hobo. We all know the hobo, right? Right, the hobo? The hobo was only allowed to rest there in Makom Patur. Nowhere does it say that you can constantly use a Makom Patur. So therefore, you weren't able to use that shelf. So the scenario over here, the ukimta of using the lower one is where the upper one is not 4 wide, only connected the window. And the one below it is 4. So it's a full-fledged Rishus Hayachid. So let's see it inside. And you have a ziz that is what? A shelf that is below it. Mishtamish bo, you use the lower shelf. Only opposite the window. Now, how is this hechidami? What exactly is this upper elyon ziz? Either less be'aba, if it doesn't have 4, makom patuhu. It's a makom patur, and even keneged the window, you should not be able to use, because the havamina is that you don't have 4 with the window. It's all 3. And again, guys? Why isn't it like the hobo? The hobo was only allowed to rest there. He wasn't allowed to use it. And over here, we won't let you use a makom patur. The ispe arba, and if it has the width of 4, you should use it the length of the kaisel and not just opposite the window. So Amar Abaya, tachtoin the ispe arba. The lower shelf has arba, and therefore it's a rishus hayachid. The elyoin lespe arba. However, the chaloin mashlimasay ledalid. The width of the windowsill combined with the shelf is 4. Therefore, keneged chalon opposite the window, keneged the chalon opposite the window. There you are, mishtamish. The churi chalonhu. It's considered the chur of the chalon. The high gisa or the high gisa asar. But over here, aleph over here, which is less than 4, and over here opposite this part that's less than 4, that you would not be able to use.